Start. Okay, good morning, Caden and Cameron and Brock and Spencer. And what I'm going to do here today, we're budgeted till 9:15, but for what I want to do is not going to take that long. So I'll go over what I want to cover, mainly some more Excel stuff for those who need it, and then if there's any questions or anything or problems after that. But just to review here for a moment what's going on this week. We got the 2 Excel assignments, and depending on if you were in my hybrid class at the beginning of the week or not, I think second block we got through the budget, so I'm not covering that today. And if you weren't here for that, there's a tutorial for that. And the fourth block class, we finished the second Excel assignment. Okay, the first block class, I don't know if we even started it, but because we had a lot of presentations this week. But the second, or my fourth block class, my second computer lit class of the day, we finished that. So if you're from the H group, fourth block, you probably don't need to be here today because all I'm mainly talking about is the Excel assignments, which you've already finished. The other ones are there's a TED Talk here about procrastination, and that does relate to online learning because that's a big problem for a lot of people doing online learning. But it's a guy who does it's kind of funny too. So that's an easy assignment, and it's kind of interesting and something to think about because getting yourself organized, especially now we went all virtual, is important. And there's going to be, I think, the future of work in general for a lot of jobs, not all jobs, but a lot of jobs, is to, for various reasons, whether it be health or financial or whatever, is you're going to have more flexibility to work from home or wherever you want to work from. But that also takes a certain amount of discipline and organization to get your job done and stay on task. So I think that's a good one for anybody. So I actually use that in all my classes, including sociology this week. Then we're starting internet and World Wide Web topics. So there's first assignment just takes you through some of the basics of the internet and the World Wide Web. So that's a fairly easy assignment. It's actually a website and a question sheet, and you go through it, you follow down, you answer questions from different parts. There are a few little videos along the way, and we'll be getting into more and more internet and World Wide Web topics and search and things like that. But today the main focus is going to be the Excel assignment 2. So if you've done that for some reason, if you're in my H group and did it for fourth block, or if you already did it, watch a tutorial and did that assignment, I'll take no offense if you depart us now because that's what I'm going to go over. If you have not done that, it's probably worth your while to stay and watch it because I'm going to go over it, and it's actually very easy. So if you'd rather go over it right now when I'm doing this here, then watch the tutorial. That's probably the best benefit of today. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to open up Excel. And now the tutorial I have for assignment 2 says to start out with the budget workbook and then add 3 more sheets because in this second one you're doing 3 sheets. Let me review what that means again, but before I do that I'm going to clear some stuff. Okay. Down here, you can see my 3 sheets. We have one for the Homeowners Association. We have one for library overdue. And I'm going to clear this here. And we have one for seating and seating capacity, probably at a hotel or conference center. Okay, now the tutorial I put up here said to open up the budget one, the one we did on the first one, and then add 3 more sheets. And if you do that, that's fine. You would just submit that a second time, but the second time you submit it for the assignment 2 would have these 3 sheets added to it. In class this week and right now, I kind of recommend probably be better just to make a new Excel. So just to back up here for a moment, when you open up Excel, I'm just going to go here for a second. Say I'm going to make a new one. Well, for some reason it defaulted to this. But let's say you're going to open up, you get the options, you click blank spreadsheet or whatever it is, workbook. When you open that up, it's going to have one sheet down here. It's going to say sheet 1. And you save it, and you can just call it book 2 or assignment 2 or whatever. The whole file, just to review here, is a workbook. Okay, when you hear me say workbook on an Excel file, that is the file. So you got one file, okay, one thing that you save. Then in there, for this assignment 2 for Excel, we're doing 3 sheets. And the way you add a sheet is you just click the little plus sign. So when you click the plus sign, it adds a sheet, and then you can double click on there and rename it. Now I'm going to go and delete the sheet because I don't want this. Actually, I'll move it out of my way for right now. There, I deleted it. Okay, so to make your sheet, you can just click this here, and then you get 3 of them down here. So these, in Excel, these are officially called worksheets, and that's the same thing as saying spreadsheet. So if you hear me say spreadsheet or worksheet, this is what I mean. When these programs first started, they literally there were 1 sheet per file. But over the years, you know, Excel combines it into a workbook. So if you're doing, say, a business and you want to keep all your sheets together, you can have 1 workbook and then your different files in here. Okay, I've gone over already. Hopefully you already know that these are rows and columns. The rows are numbers. The columns are letters. Okay, and the intersection of a row and a column, like this first one here, A1, is called a cell. Okay. Now for this homeowners association, I'm going to undo this real quick just to demonstrate how you do it. It's actually pretty simple. It's called merge and center. So how does that work? Okay, what I did here, I wrote homeowners in A2. Okay, then after I put this info in, and I did association.
Sharia.
Yeah.
So
you can't see it?
on your, no, we can't see.
Oh,
Excel.
sorry about that. Let me see here.
Yeah, I was about to say something.
I was going to say, do say something, because sometimes this is confusing on my end, because I probably forgot to. I unshared something, and then I probably was sharing the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Can you see now?
Yes.
Everybody see that okay now? Okay. Yeah, it's a little confusing here when I'm clicking the buttons to remember what's coming up here. Okay, thanks for saying that. And do speak up, by all means. Anything looks weird or something. Okay, so I was explaining all this stuff here, but I think you guys know that. If you've been in Excel at all, everything I said should have made some sense. Here's where the sheets are down here. You can rename these, just double click on it and type a new name. You can add sheets by clicking the little plus button. These are the columns up here. These are the rows over here. And anytime you need to adjust these, sometimes you need to adjust these either narrower or wider. You just put the cursor in between, way up here between, say, A and B, and you can drag this wider, you can drag it narrower. And the same thing here. Like if I want to drag one taller or drag it smaller, I can do that. Okay, back to this here. I'm just going to do this again. Okay, when I first start typing this, by the way, when you look at these sheets, some of you are going to look at them and say, Mr. Rio, I looked at the PDF and they don't tell me what row or column to put everything in. Okay, I did that on purpose because there isn't a right answer. You don't have to start like I did in A2. I could have started in A1. I could have started in A3. Does that make sense? Now, don't be crazy and start in like A35. That would make no sense. But anywhere up in this area up here would be fine. So if you want to start in A1 with homeowners and then do association, great. If you want to start a row or two down and do the same thing, but just start a little bit lower, that's fine. You know, somewhere up in here, this area here would be fine. So I happen to do homeowners in A2. Now what I did is I did homeowners here, I did association, I did, you know, then I skipped a row. Then I put in these here. Now you might say, how do you format that, Mr. Rio? I just, you know, I clicked on bold. I picked a color here, just like we did in Word. It's the same. Some of these features are exactly the same as in Word or PowerPoint. I picked a different color. Color is optional. You don't have to do a different color. I centered it by clicking here. It was originally maybe there, if I remember right, and I just clicked here to center it. Now that was with them all highlighted. That's why it's doing the things I'm selecting. Okay. Now for this here, now that I know how far this is going to go, it's going to go up through column F. I'm going to do homeowners and center it. This is called merge and center. It's really easy. You just start with the homeowners where you typed it in A1 or A2 in my case. Maybe yours is in A1 or A3. It doesn't matter. You drag across however many columns. In this case, I went down to column F. And I, somewhere up here in the middle, whichever version of Excel you're on, and you can use the online only version of Excel for these assignments because that has all the features we need on it. And there's merge and center. You might have to look around, might be somewhere in the middle up here for yours under home. And there's actually a few other options here I'm not going to go into, but we're going to use merge and center. If you just click the button, it'll do merge and center. So what does that do? It merges all the cells you selected, and it centers whatever you have from the first cell. I'm going to do the same thing now with association. I'm going to drag across here through F. I'm going to go up here to merge and center. I could just click the button, and it merged all those cells and centered them. Really, really easy. Now down here, when I first typed these here, and I did not put the $sign or the 0.00. We don't type that. We let the formatting do that. And as I've covered before, if you've seen my lessons, there's a $sign up here. You're somewhere up here. You can click that, and that puts the $sign. I keep calling it $sign. It's technically called currency. So I put the $sign. It puts the $sign over on the left, and it puts the 0.00. Or if you had decimals there for like 0.32, would do that. So it puts that in here. Now you can do that, and I would accept it. Nothing wrong with that. But I prefer going under this pull-down menu here. This is all for different types of formatting. And they have a currency formatting here. But the difference is when you use this one, it puts the $sign right up against the dollar amounts. And I think that looks better. So I prefer the one that's from here. Third one down is called currency. Now, if you want to get really technical, underneath this one here with the $sign, if you pull that down, it shows other types of currency. So let's say you're making your document for Europe and you need it in euros. You could select euros, okay? But we're going to leave it on English $sign. Whoop. I'm going to go back up here. Okay, now we got to do the formulas. These are really easy, actually, once you get the hang of it. Okay, the balance, we want a formula. We don't want to use the exact numbers. Like we don't want to do 670 minus 670 because those numbers could change. That's the beauty of spreadsheets. You can go in there and change the numbers and it'll automatically recalculate. So we want to use the cell references. So every formula starts with an equal sign. So first thing we type there is an equal sign. Then we're going to do the first cell, which is this one right here. In my case, it's B7. Now, if you wrote yours on, let's say you started in the first row or the third row, so yours is slightly different from mine, that's okay. You just want this one right here. Now, I can either type B7 or a shortcut is, see my cursor's right there next to the equal sign. If I just come up here and just click once, it'll put that B7 there for me. Then I'm going to put a minus sign, and that's just standard minus, nothing weird. And then I'm going to, I can either type or just click on B8. So this is a B7 minus B8. Now I'm going to hit return, and there's my answer. And if I click on this, I can see the formula, but I have to go way up here to the formula bar. Now, if I want to edit this formula, maybe I want to add them. Maybe I made a mistake or I want to multiply them. I can come up here and edit the formula. But you don't see the formula anymore down here. You just see the answer. Now, the reason this is 0 is because let's every now and then stop and think what's going on in my spreadsheet. So this is a homeowners association. So these people probably live in a community where they have to pay, I don't know if these are fees or taxes or something to the homeowners association. So this person, Vicaro, they owe $670, but they paid $670. So they balance is 0. So they don't owe any money right now because they paid it. Now, here's the thing, what we're going to do. We want the same formula here and here and here. Okay, actually even there too. So, but we'll get to that last. So we're going to, you can do something called a fill right. So you start with the cell that has the formula in it that you want to fill to other cells. You click and drag across Right now, I'm only going to go this far. And you go up to the edit menu, and you might say, where do you go to fill, Mr. Rio? You go to fill, and you go to write. Now, what did that do? It took that formula and not only put it in the other cells, but it adjusted it for each column. So in this cell, it's B7 minus B8. And that cell, it changed it to C7 minus C8, and so on. So that's really nice, really simple, saves you a lot of time. So this person here owes $730 because they haven't paid anything. This person here owes $95 because they didn't pay it all. And this person owes $0. Now for these totals, this is we want to know how much is due and how much is paid. So we want to add these. Now this is really, really easy in Excel. You just literally drag across these four here and leave the last one blank. That's where that's going to go. Now we could have made I could have clicked here and put equal sign, and I could have put B, whatever number that is, 7 plus C7 plus D7 plus E7. That would have worked, but it would have been tedious. So I drag across all these here and leave this one blank. Go up to what looks like, I call it the Greek letter E up here. Just literally click it because the default is called sum. Sum means it's going to add it up. So I just click it, and it puts in what's called the sum function. Okay? I'm going to click here. What is a sum function? If you click on it, it looks like this up here. You have an equal sign because functions are just specialty formulas. They're formulas where instead of putting like, you know, B7 plus C7 plus D7, you have equal sign because all formulas have an equal sign. You have sum, S-U-M. Then you have what's called a range. A range is in parentheses, and it starts with the top left cell and ends with the bottom right cell. And in between is a colon. Now, it turns out this is our top left cell right here, and this is our bottom right cell right there. Now, they happen to be in the same row, which is not uncommon. And so that's what it's doing. It's adding all these up, and then we get that. It's really simple. You know, with literally just a drag and a click, we added all those columns up. Now, right here, we need to do the same thing. Now, you know, it would be very easy for me just to drag across and click up and do that again. But instead, I'm going to show you another a shortcut for fill. I'm going to click here. Now, I want to fill down just to there. I see that little corner is like a little square dot there, if you can see it. Okay, if I click on that and drag down like this, that's a shortcut for filling. Okay, I didn't want to show you that first because I wanted you to know both methods. And I let go. And what it did was it filled that function down. But if you click on this one, it says equal sum, and it adjusted it for row 8. So it did this one right here. Now here, what do we want there? Do we want to add these? No. We want the same type of, you know, this one minus this one to come across. So I'm going to go just to the one next to it. That's fine. It's got the E7 minus E8. And just by dragging that little corner there over, I let go, and what it did was it moved this formula over to the next column and adjusted it for F. So if I click on it, it says F7 minus F8. Okay? And what that is, it's just our totals. If you're the person that runs this association, the amount due is $2,780, and the amount that people have paid toward that is $1,955. Now, the other beauty of spreadsheets is after you make all this, say you're the person that runs the homeowner association, and then you find out, oh, Ogilvy made a payment. Okay, you can click here. Maybe they didn't pay everything. We'll say they paid $500. So you put in $500 and you hit return. Now, first it recalculated Ogilvy right here. It also recalculated the total that was paid in, and it also calculated how much is still owed. So all that was recalculated automatically, perfectly, just because, you know, you did that. Maybe you go over here and maybe this farmer decide, hey, I'm going to pay mine off. So you change this to 95. So we got 695. His goes down to 0, or hers. I'm not sure if farmer is him or her. And it recalculates everything. And this is now down to what we owe, and this is what's been paid, and there's 0 down here. So that's why we use the cell references. So if the numbers change, everything automatically changes, you know, gets recalculated. So the more you do this stuff, the easier it gets. Now for the this one here, this is a little different. We're going to introduce you to what's called a count function. Also, there's some information that you're only going to get either from me right now or you got to watch the tutorial. Okay, what's going on here? We have a library overdues. And by the way, if you started this in A2 instead of A1 like I did, no big deal. Just make everything the same going down. We got our people borrowing books from the library. These are probably the number on the book itself. This is how many days they're overdue on their book and how much do they owe and how many overdue holdings are there. So what are we going to do here? Once you got this basic info typed in, and I formatted it, like I highlighted this and I click centered. And if I wanted these all centered, I could highlight them and center them and I can hit bold. And if I want to get fancy and make it a different color, I can pick a different color and do things like that. Okay, now for this here, and this is, you know, this isn't in the directions. You either got to watch a tutorial or watch me right now. We're going to do 10 cents a day. So how do you make a formula? Well, you start with this cell here. That's how many days overdue. Okay, so we're going to do an equal sign. Oh, just when I click there, I need to be here. We're going to put an equal sign. Then I'm going to click there just so it puts in C6. Now I could have just typed C6. That would have worked too. And I'm going to do a multiply. Now the overdue is 10 cents per day. So I'm going to put 0.10. Now do I need 0.10? Well, I could have put 0.1, it's the exact same thing. But I put 0.10 because we're thinking 10 cents, so it looks more like what we think of. Now I'm going to hit return, and it's $1. Okay, it makes sense. Now this is already formatted. Okay, don't do that. Okay, this is already formatted. And that's why mine says $1. If you do it and yours says 1, you can go up to currency up here and format that. Then once you have that for this one here, if I click on it, it's C6 times 0.01. Okay, now I can do a fill down for the rest. And you guys probably remember the shortcut is go here and drag down. Just drag the corner and drag it all the way down, and it fills down all this. Okay? And then this here's done, the amount due. The only thing left is overdue holdings. And again, you're only going to get this either from me right now or from watching a tutorial. This is called a count function. A count function is a little weird. It doesn't add things up like the sum function. It goes through a range of cells, and every cell that has a number, it counts as 1. Doesn't matter what the number is. If the number is 3 or 300, it counts that as 1. So I'm going to click here. And first thing we're going to do is select the function. So we're going to go up to where the Greek letter E is. We're going to pull down the menu next to it, and we're going to select count numbers. Now it puts in equal sign. It puts in the word count. It puts in parentheses with a cursor in between. Now I can either type the range, which is going, now right now you would say, which range do I do? Do I do C6 to C13 or D6 to D13? Quite frankly, either one would work because they're both going to end up with the same answer. I'm going to do the overdue days. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag down. You know, notice as I drag down, it automatically put in the C6 colon C13. That's one way to do it. You could have literally clicked in here and literally just typed C6 colon C13. So this is the range it's going to go through right here. Now I'm going to hit return, and it says 8. Now if I click on there, you'll see the count function up here, C6 colon C13 with the equal sign in the parentheses. And it went through each of these cells, and if there's any number in there whatsoever, it counted it as 1. So we have 8 people who have overdue holdings. So that's fairly simple. Once you do it, I mean, when you don't know what you're doing, it's, you know, it's not simple, but once you know it, it's like, hey, that's pretty easy, Mr. Rio. The last one we're going to do is seating. Now, what's going on here? We have seating capacity. It's probably a big hotel or a conference center. These room numbers, this is literally the room number. Like if you walk down the hall, one door says 138, one door says 141, and so on. Okay, so if you walk through a convention center, a big hotel that has convention rooms, these are literally the room numbers, okay? Now, capacity is how many people you can legally put in each room. So we got 50, 35, and so on. Now, the first thing we want here is the room count. So we're going to just drag across here, and we want the last one we're going to leave empty. And this is going to add up all these range of here. Click on that Greek looking letter E, and you get a room count of 415. So you can have 415 people there. Now they do have another one. Let me see here. Okay, we're going to do just a second here. Total capacity. And because I have a little different sheet than what might be on your handout, and I'm not picky where this stuff goes, I'm going to put it down here. Total capacity. Oh, excuse me, I did it wrong. Sorry about that. I'm going to do this here for total capacity. And if this is a little different than what's in the handout, don't worry about it. As long as it, capacity. Okay, so this would be total capacity. Now this here is going to be room count. This is going to be a count function. How many rooms do we have? I'm going to make this here a little wider, so we got a little more room there. And we're just going to put that right here. It's only going to be just here only. There's nothing we're adding up. We're not minusing. That's a number on the door. Okay, we just want how many rooms exist. So we're going to click up here and go over to the account again. Zoom's kind of blocking my view here. It's going to set up the count function, equal sign count, and we have to have a range. Now, by default, it picked this range thinking this is what I wanted, but it's not what I want. Now, which do you want? Do we want to do the capacity across, or do we want to do the room number? Either one would work, be honest with you, but I'm going to do the room number. So I'm going to drag across there. Now, I could have put B4 to I4, and that, you know, there it is right there. Equal count B4 colon I4 in parentheses. I hit return. There are 8 rooms. Okay, so we have 8 rooms here, and that's it. That's all you got to do for this. Now, if you want to do any fancy stuff like highlight this and make it bold or make it a little bit bigger or something like that, you can do that. But that's all you got to do. So that's the assignment. If you you can zip right through it. I showed you all the shortcuts and tricks and say, wow, that was really easy, Mr. Rio. Then you save it, of course. And this, you can just name it book 2 if you want. You want to name it assignment 2, Excel 2, something like that. And you submit that for the second one. If you did do it in the same workbook as your original budget, that's okay. Hello, Alex. If you did do it in the original budget, like the tutorial has, where you got the budget and then you got 3 more sheets, you just submit the budget a second time with the 3 sheets added. What am I going to look for when I check these? Most importantly, the formulas and functions, because somebody could have looked at the PDFs I shared and just wrote in the numbers and didn't learn a thing. Okay, if you just write in the numbers and that's it and leave, that's like doing a table in Word. It doesn't mean anything. Most of Excel is about the formulas and the functions. So either way, there we go. We're all done. If you want to hang around, if you got any questions or anything, that's okay. If not, you're all set here for the day. And we're going to do this on Monday and Tuesday, as I'm required now with the new schedule. I'm not planning to do it Wednesday, so we're not going to do it Wednesday. We normally won't do it Wednesdays anyway. We'll do them on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Of course, next week we're not going to do Thursday and Friday. There won't be that many assignments next week because it's a shorter week, but we'll have some new ones going up. Okay, if you got questions, hang around or put them in the chat. And if not, have a great day and get your assignments in. I'm just checking the chat. Did everybody put a hello or hi in the chat so I get your attendance? If you didn't, do that. Or you could put a bye in there if you're departing us. And I'm going to end the meeting now unless there's any questions. Okay? Yeah, make sure you get your name in there so I get you for attendance in case anyone asks if you were here. Sometimes it's parents. Sometimes parents email me and say, hey, was my kid in the Zoom meeting? So you never know. Okay, take care.